afternoon.
Hello.
We are talking to Anne Brown, Head of People, KPMG, and teacher at Kingston CIPD IHRM Master's Program in Moscow, RANEPA. First of all, hello Anne.
Hello.
Nice meeting you here, and thank you for finding some time to talking to us. So could you please tell us a few words about yourself, about your career, please?
Yes, so I've worked in HR all my life. I've worked in a variety of sectors: financial services, professional services, banking, and telecoms. My main experience has been with change and change management. I think HR is very relevant because all organisations are facing change, and the important journey their people go on is something that HR can work with very, very well and make a great difference. So for me, I think it's a very exciting career, and it's a great opportunity to be involved in this programme.
Okay. And you're also a chartered member of CIPD, is that correct?
I certainly am.
Chartered Fellow?
I'm a chartered fellow,
Yes.
and for me I think it's very important that HR has a professional qualification. The profession and the capability of the people in it needs to be invested in and recognised. People management activities change, and they have changed very substantially over the years, and actually it's really important to stay up to date, to stay fresh in your thinking, and to learn new techniques and new capabilities. So I find the CIPD is a very good place to do that, and learning programmes are very important.
Okay, thank you. So what are main or interesting projects that we are working right now at your workplace?
Yes. So for me, they are things around employee engagement. When people come to work, how to help people do the best job they can do. It's both much more motivating for people themselves, but also makes organisations more profitable. I'm very interested in junior talent, how we bring on graduates and young people into the workplace and start to develop those skills for the future. That's something I'm really interested in. And at KPMG, like many other companies, change and transformation in line with many changes that are happening in the macro business world is absolutely current, and the HR function is involved in those transformation activities. It's a really exciting time to be in HR, I have to say.
Very good. So I understand it's a very challenging job and probably involves lots of your time. So how do you find time to come here to Moscow to teach the students?
Yeah, so when I joined KPMG, which I did fairly recently, I had a conversation that said, I've made this commitment and I'd really like to honour it. And KPMG think this is a great idea, so continual learning is part of KPMG's own thinking, professional thinking, so that was fine. During my career, I've had a long association with Kingston. I was a graduate there. I did my first degree there. I did my postgraduate. One of my postgraduate degrees I did at Kingston. And I've also been involved as part of the faculty advisory board, working with the senior management of the business school. I also lecture and mentor students at Kingston. For me, it's very important that senior HR people give something back to people who are developing their careers in the profession, and we have a responsibility and an opportunity through this programme to be able to give something to students and share our experience. But what's really exciting is that the students give a lot back to me, and I have the opportunity to learn a lot about what's happening in a more modern and varied sectors. I think that's fabulous. And HR is one of those great places where people are happy to share that knowledge. Shared knowledge creates learning. I think that's wonderful.
Yes, it is. So it's quite a long story you're having with Kingston.
Yes.
And it's good that you're coming here and there is an approach, like theory into practice approach, teaching approach, and we can see it really working.
Absolutely.
Yes. So let's turn to the program. So this is the module called Employee Engagement and Organizational Learning that you're involved in teaching. Could you please tell us a few words about what is the module about, what are the topics, what are you discussing, so what are the fresh thinking there, please?
Yeah, so we talk about employee engagement first. So employee engagement is quite a new thinking in HR. It's a new part of the HR offering. In fact, the academic work doesn't date back that long. 1990 is when academic thinking began to start to move to how can employees become more engaged in their work? How can companies capture hearts and minds of employees. So people come to work and are able to do their best work, but also contribute more to company success. There's plenty of evidence now that says having engaged employees can increase your productivity, your bottom line, by 57%, compared to people who come to work and just do their day job. So this module is looking at the academic understanding. What does that mean? What are the things that companies need to do to engage their employees? But it also has a very practical element around the practitioner view. So as HR people, we understand the company strategy, but how do we help that translate into a meaningful message for employees? And then how do we embed it in HR practice, from recruitment through to performance, through to development, through to compensation? How do we embed that and enable companies to make the most of people? This is all about human beings, not human resources, and how we make that come to life in the programme. An organisational development learning, the knowledge learning part of the programme, is about understanding some of the systems that sit in knowledge management. What is knowledge and what does it mean for a company? And if knowledge is held at an employee level, what happens when that employee leaves the company and takes that knowledge away? What is that company losing? How do companies value knowledge as part of their bottom line on their balance sheet? And how do they make sure that they're able to engage and effectively link their employees together so the best knowledge becomes within the company? And if an employee leaves, it doesn't matter so much. They don't take precious knowledge with them. So these are very practical day-to-day issues that companies are thinking about. They're very important when companies are considering their strategic actions, their boardroom activities, and even looking at things like cyber crime. They're very practical. So that's what the module is.
Yes, I think very, very important topics, up to date,
Indeed.
highly discussed in the HR literature. So could you please tell me about the group of students that you're teaching?
Yes.
What kind of people are there? What are you doing there? What are the discussions or the exercises, whatever? So what happens inside?
What happens inside? So I'm teaching a fabulous group of students, so I'm really lucky. We're having great fun. And it's a student group of about 20 people. People are quite senior in HR. Some are more senior than others. It's an area where we can share our experience. Experience is all relevant. Some people have done a lot in this space. Some people have done not very much in this space, and through discussion and sharing of knowledge, we're able to think about how we can make things relevant in different places. We've had a lot of fun thinking about things for different sectors. So the work has a strong academic foundation, but then we start to talk about employee engagement, for example. What does it mean in oil, gas and manufacturing? What does it mean in retail organisations? What might it mean in government and not-for-profit organisations? What does it mean in financial services, banking, IT, professional services? And what's been amazing in the programme is that actually there are so many similarities, and we look at these things through the eyes of our company, that when we start to work with a broader group, actually there's a common agenda here, and therefore that engages common language and opportunity. So the group there's some delivery of academic work, which is shared through PowerPoint, so quite traditional teaching. And then there are workshop breakouts to consider this in practical application. And then there are feedback groups. We've had some competitions and some games. That's good fun. So.
Good. I think very interesting and engaging time you're having. And could you please tell us, probably the last question, you've mentioned that many people are very senior HR professionals, some of them more, some of them less, but still they all work full-time. Why do you think they should come and spend these 5 days very, very intensive work out of their families, out of their work, or trying to combine both learning and their work? So why do you think, what's the main idea? Why should they come?
Why should they come? And I do appreciate that if you have to balance home, a busy job, and something extra like a programme like this, actually you have to make some compromises somewhere to fit it in. So I do appreciate that, and I have done a program that's similar, so I know that from my own experience. What I would say is sometimes to stand back from your work and to stand back from perhaps some of all those home things that all are great fun and have to be done, of course, but to stand back from them, to create some space for you to think and to reflect and to learn from others and to be open to challenge and ideas is very refreshing. It's like I'll say a rebirth, but it gives you the opportunity to channel and get some energy, some centered energy again. So when you go back into the workplace, you go back with a sense of being refreshed about it. They are long days, so you will be honest. People will have assignments to do, so it's hard work, and that's a commitment. The university is very supportive, but it is a rigour, it's a programme, and it has a proper outcome, so it's important that people understand the expectations. But the place to spend time, to leave your work at the door and to leave the cares of the day at the door and come into a programme like this is very valuable, and it does give, it doesn't happen that often, so it does give that opportunity to say, let me think and give priority to my professional growth as an HR professional. That's really valuable, I would say.
Yes, so it's about constant development, renovating oneself and moving on.
That's a good summary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Anne. Thank you so much for talking to us. So this was Kingston CIPD IHRM Master's Program held at RANEPA Ciipd campus and the module Employee Engagement and Organizational Learning. And we were talking to Anne Brown, Head of People KPMG and teacher of the module. Thank you.